Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Entrepreneur's Playbook, where we help 7- and 8-figure businesses ignite their financial superpowers. Josh Bowerly here with Ron Parisi. Ron, how you doing this week?
Wonderful. We got beautiful, as you can tell, beautiful weather here in Northwest Ohio here. Raining and thunder showers. So, but
Oh,
otherwise we're
nice.
good. We wrapping up the 9:15 deadline in style, and excited to be with you again one more time, Josh. So thanks.
Yeah, no, I don't miss those days for my tax preparation, every deadline that hits. So I'm sure you guys are in the thick of it. So thanks for being with us through that. And we're kind of talking ahead of time, and you had a good topic that you wanted to discuss. So why don't you start it out and we'll delve into it.
Yeah, I've been thinking about this a lot lately, and that's opportunity costs, right? It's the one thing that's not on your financials, and that's how much you can. We take this in a lot of different directions, but like how much are you leaving on the table, right? By maybe being conservative, not making investments both in marketing and team and business. We're never going to really know what those opportunity costs are, but I really do think it's important when we have an advisory client, we talk about opportunity costs. We talk about what what is possible, where are we today, stretching ourselves, right? Trying to maximize those opportunity costs. But I definitely think it's something that should come across the business owner, the entrepreneur's mind, right? Is that if they don't do something, what's the opportunity cost? What are they leaving on the table? And you could quantify it in a couple different ways, but obviously the easiest one would be sales or revenue. Another one would be profitability, right? We talk about this at end, Josh, you and I, and with our clients, right? Every day you ignore your financials is another day that you're not maximizing your profitability, right? And the worst thing you could do, I personally think, is work so hard for the revenue and ignore that financial analysis piece and really look at your profit and leave profit, because is in your pocket, and that's the money you can reinvest in your business. You can obviously reinvest in yourself, a lot of different save money for the future, things like that. There's some other opportunity costs. You have revenue, you got profitability, but two is you had mentioned time, such a big thing, right? Is that we always, I think there's a knee jerk reaction from our clients, right? Not to hire that team member until they're absolutely certain that they can afford it. And a lot of times they just spend so much time trying to get to that point. And again, just opportunity costs, right? Maybe they're doing their own, whatever it is that can be done by somebody else, and not go out, not create that new opportunity, not create that sales letter, not go and follow up on leads again. So revenue, profitability, time. What are some of your thoughts here, Josh?
Yeah, no, I think it's a really interesting topic for a few reasons. Number one, in our world, we're stuck in the mindset of the financial statements, right? We talk about it all the time. What shows up on the financial statements, and sometimes what doesn't show up on the financial statements is just as important or more important. So, like you said, there's what's on this financial statement, but then there's also what could have been on that financial statement that you didn't choose. You chose this, but what would have that looked like if you chose something else? And then it's also interesting to me because it's not just about business, right? There's opportunity costs in every single choice that we make throughout the day. All these millions of choices that we're making, a lot of them mindlessly. And there's always an opportunity cost for every single one we're making. And they're big and small, right? Go back to just going to college. You go to college and it's a great choice for a lot of people, but there's a huge opportunity cost with that, right? Because you could have been working for those 4 years. You could have been starting a business for those 4 years, whatever it is. And this isn't to say that college is a bad mood, obviously.
Yeah.
There's all these choices that we make, and we look at what we can quantify with those decisions, but we don't often look at what we could have had those decisions, what the opportunity cost of that is. Yeah, I think it's a really interesting topic for business in general and just life too.
I think it maybe set this up in two ways, right? One is like to talk about exits, right? And opportunity costs. And then at the end, we'll maybe give a framework for the entrepreneur or a business owner, how to evaluate that business or that opportunity cost. But I think when we have clients that sell, what are they truly selling, right? It's like they're selling their IP, they're selling their brand, they're selling their client list, they're selling the operation going forward. But what if you're the buyer? What are you buying, right? You're obviously, okay, I know what Ron's doing from a business perspective, but you're buying the opportunity costs. You're buying all the opportunity that I didn't take advantage of. And this is when you see it's a kind of a double-edged sword. These people who get nice multiples on their business, it's the same thing. So a multiple, right? For those who don't know, multiple is like what basically your net income, what we call in the accounting speak EBITDA, right? And there's a multiple off that. So if your EBITDA is $1 million and the multiple is 2.5 or 3, it's like, right, somebody's going to pay you 2.5 or $3 million for your business, right? The higher multiples, right, equate to a higher opportunity cost because Josh, the buyer, is going to come in and think, okay, Ron's only doing 1 million with this business. In the back of my mind, oh, I can do 5 or I can do 7 or I can do 10 with it because Ron's not taking advantage of boom, this line. Maybe we work in a different industry. Maybe we take this IP and advance it with a whole new scope of services or of courses or whatever it is. So it's really interesting. Like in my mind, obviously, I'm the nerd accountant who sees this, but I see like higher multiples equal higher opportunity costs, which means like that owner probably left more money on the table. And there's a lot, obviously, a lot goes into it. But what are your thoughts on that? I thought
Yeah,
that was
that's
a good.
interesting. I never thought about that at all in that way, but it's definitely true. It brings me to real estate, which I'm doing all the time. And when I'm buying a property, especially if I'm buying it from another investor, then I'm clearly saying that there's some type of opportunity cost that he missed that I need to take advantage of. So yeah, I think that absolutely makes sense. There's always some type of opportunity cost that we're not taking advantage of that someone else does. And like you said, even if you're selling something, then you better be selling to somebody else that is better than the opportunity cost that they're going to be missing by purchasing your product or service. So
Right.
it's in every part of business. It's that opportunity cost.
So, yeah, and we do a lot of online. So whether it's a coach, marketing firm, digital marketing firms, anybody who's promoting something, it's like they're selling, hey, through our services, we're going to make your life easier. We're going to make your life more profitable. You're going to grow faster, right? So we're selling that into that opportunity cost for our clients as well. Um, so that's another way of thinking about it. But let's just talk about a little framework, right? Framework for the entrepreneur, right? So I just think what's really good, if you've ever listened to our podcast, we're about forward facing financials, no rear view accounting per se. We always think about, hey, we're in the growth business, right? What do we want to grow? How are we want to grow? And I always think like when we do that exercise, that's the time to really think about opportunity costs and to say, if I don't bring in my new sales manager, what's going to happen with sales, right? There's always that yin and yang back and forth, but that's the analysis that we go through with our clients. If you don't bring in that sales manager or, hey, I'm thinking about rolling out a new higher level product, right? Is there people in your community that are willing to pay a lot more money for your product, for your service, for what you put out there in the world? From a profitability standpoint, is that do you take the time to really think about all the expenses that go into the business and about maximizing that profitability, which is an equation on revenue versus expenses? So I think what we're trying to get in here is as you evaluate and make all these business decisions every day, right? As an entrepreneur, that opportunity cost needs to come into the equation. How do you view it as a real estate investor?
Yeah, I think this is the hard part, right? Is how do you actually quantify that and how do you use that to make decisions? And I think it's hard because there's all this, especially in the entrepreneur world, like no regrets, never look back. Even we're sitting here talking like look forward, but with opportunity costs, you've got to have some looking back. And if you're going to learn from it, you got to have some regret with it, right? Oh, I shouldn't have made that decision. In real estate, it's all the time. I'll make an investment and say, man, this investment was fine, but these resources could have been allocated here instead. And my return would have been doubled. So yeah, I don't know. I think that's the balancing act. Number one, is how do you quantify this and turn it into usable numbers? How often should you be doing it? And how do you balance that with what we talk about with forward looking?
Yeah. Yeah, forward looking is always about, right, the new opportunities. But I do think there is a situation where you can evaluate, right, past, I'd say, oh, I made a decision not to buy that property or I made a decision not to do a joint venture, right? What would have happened, right? Sometimes you see that person who did that joint venture, oh my goodness, right? They're like 5 steps ahead, or sometimes they're no longer even on the radar. I think sometimes it is a good idea to look at past decisions for like kind of the opportunity cost that was gained or taken away from you. So
Yeah, I guess,
you
and
ever
then
do that? As I say, you ever do that with your real estate? You ever look at properties that you passed on and what they're going for right now?
I can remember one specific time, yeah. I had an opportunity to get a good one and it fell through, and it really wasn't much I could have done to save it, but a few years later, it was for sale for 300,000 more than I could have bought it for, so you always look at that and see what could have been. But I guess,
Right.
how specific should we be with this as entrepreneurs? Should we be setting aside time every year, every month, every quarter, and saying, "Okay, these were the decisions we made. What would have happened if we would have gone this route?" And how
Yeah,
often
I
do you
think
think we
too,
should?
I mean, it's, yeah, you gotta be careful too. You can't look back and say, "Oh, man, I made all these bad decisions." I think it's just data points, right? And I wouldn't spend too much time on it, but I think it's definitely a healthy analysis going forward, right? If I don't hire this person, if I don't hire the best example, I don't hire a sales manager. We just had a client that just hired a sales manager, and she's just absolutely rocking it with this person inside the house, even more than she ever thought she could. And like, how long did she wait to bring that person on? And what happened if you brought that person on 6 months ago or a year ago? And it's not to kick yourself about it. It's just to acknowledge that's part of the equation. That's part of what you do as an entrepreneur and make those great business decisions, that there is a cost. There's a cost of saying no. There's a cost of not doing anything, of being paralyzed with indecision. But I just thought it was something that I've been thinking about when I've been meeting with some of my advisory clients. And I thought we'd bring it to our audience today.
Yeah, no, I like that. That's a great example with the sales manager. I think that's probably the best use of it is, if you take action, there's always gonna make mistakes, and you can look at the opportunity cost, and sure, you should. But I think it's more important in your scenario, like you said, "Okay, we took action and it turned out great. So look how much more we could have made if we'd have taken action sooner." This prompt you in the future of, "Okay, if it feels right and we've made the analysis, and yes, there's risk involved, but let's take action."
Yeah.
And I think that's where you do wanna be careful with it. You don't wanna use this as, "Oh, I took action and then I could have made a little bit more if I'd taken this action," and kind of cripples you in the future, and you're not taking, you're overanalyzing every little decision. Nope, you gotta take action. Mistakes are gonna be made. You're gonna miss opportunity costs, but use it as, "Okay, the opportunity cost came because I didn't take action sooner." I think that's the more healthy way to look at it.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, we're not here to allow people to self-criticize themselves. It's just adding another element to the decision making. And if anything, I like being more aggressive. And like you said, we don't get every decision right as an entrepreneur, but there is a cost of inaction. There is a cost of saying no. And that should, that's not, you don't look at the financials and see that every day. So it should be in there and in your thought process as you go on and make these great business decisions as an entrepreneur. So, hey, appreciate it very much, Josh. Another one in the books. We'll wrap it up. And
We will see you next week.
yeah, I was gonna say, see you in a couple weeks, and hopefully you're enjoying the content, everybody. All right, take care now.